If you think back to what you learned about the history of motion pictures, you may remember the first movies were literally just scenes of things or people in action. For example, you may see a train rumbling down the tracks. Almost by accident, film directors started noticing if you put one scene together with another, a story began to get created. A Day in the Life of an American Fireman is one of the first narratives where we see action following another action, ultimately creating a story. Porter followed up that movie with The Great Train Robbery in 1903. It's here that we really start to see editing take off. There were several concepts that were pioneered in this film. We've already seen continuity, which is and then. In other words, this action happens and then something else happens. We also see something else going on, and that's cross cutting, where multiple storylines are going on at any one time. We see this a lot of times in heist movies where the the robbers, the thieves, are going in and breaking into the safe, for example, at the same time the police are coming down the hall, or the detective is putting all the pieces together and starting to come after the criminal. And we see multiple storylines going on at once. Again, today we see this often. Back when in 1903, this was revolutionary. Um, the other thing, if you look, Porter invented the camera pan. We see for the first time the camera follow people as they move across a scene. Movies, and up until this point were created like plays. Actors came into and out of frame, but the camera never moved. Porter and other early editors developed the pans, the tilts, the things that we almost take for granted today, but were revolutionary again back in that time. The close up is something that we had never been able to experience before this. We've had books, we had paintings, but to see a person close up and in motion was startling. It was amazing. When we think of something that we see in 3D, or these character generated effects that we have today, and we see how real they feel, that's the way they felt back in the early days of movie editing, or excuse me, of movies. Go to the PowerPoint and follow this link. Hitchcock does a great job of illustrating how one shot following another can tell a story. So why do we care about any of this? Understanding where editing came from and why we do the things we do, and the historical basis of why we do the things we do, will help us realize the importance of shot selection, shot length, use of effects, use of timing, all of these things. Along with that, we start to see it's a skill, a technical skill, and an art. The great thing about becoming a strong editor is it makes us better at everything else. Once you understand why one shot should follow another and how long those shots should work, when you begin producing your work, you know as you stand behind the camera, hey, I need a shot to follow this shot. Hey, I need a transition between scene A and scene B. What's it going to be? Understanding the editing process will make you a better director, a better writer, and a better producer. We're going to be discussing sequences all semester long. Sequences are the wide shot or establishing shot, followed by a medium shot, followed by a tight. We're going to discuss that a lot more later on. That sound caught on location, we use it in both film, documentary, and news to give us a deeper understanding of the atmosphere of the location. Action reaction. This is critical. When an action happens, we should see the reaction. We often know how to base our emotions off of how other people feel. Continuity editing. We want to keep the story moving in a direction that keeps the audience engaged and not wondering, how did I get to this point? Action A comes before action B, and they're all preceding action C, and it makes perfect sense to us. Follow the link on the PowerPoint to see an example of sequences in action. Sequences are critical. We're going to talk a whole lot about them this semester. Wide, medium, tight. They are what represent an action in real life. When we look at a close-up, we're seeing exactly what we want to see. We're right in the face, right in the action. Close-ups are critical. Beyond that, they can get us out of a jam. What I mean by that is, once you cut to an extreme close-up, you can move anywhere in space without worrying about a jump cut. We'll talk a lot more about that. Sound draws us into the world of the movie. We use our senses to navigate the world. Sight and sound have to be stressed. Look at great movies. Look at great news stories. Sound is as important as video. The 180-degree rule is one of the basic lessons and rules of film production. Many of you already know what it is. For those of you who don't, please, you need to go follow the link included on this slide. It's your job to create something that people see as watchable, entertaining, or whatever other goals the production may have. Continuity editing, A before B, all before C. The story flows, everything makes sense, close-ups are included, nat sound is present. 180-degree rule, keeping people's visual understanding of the story intact. All of these things are going to fall on you as the editor. If you don't know what they are, if you don't know how to create them, and if you don't know why, the historical context these things are done, you will not be a strong editor. But if you can grasp these first basic rules, the rest becomes incredibly easy. And magic happens when you sit at the editor.